Welcome back to another Steven Universe theory. Blah blah blah, Pink Diamond Part 2, yada yada yada. Don't worry about watching the first part. It's probably wrong anyways. Also, that video is blocked in like 133 countries. I will say, however, that in the previous part, the crux of that video was based around a war timeline, and this video is based around that same idea. So if you have seen the previous part, some things are going to overlap. To start, we can't actually start at the beginning of the war, but have to go back before that to set up our major players. So let's start off with Pink Diamond, who is no longer a nebulous figure, but like an actual character. I want to look past her appearance for now. We'll get back to that later, I guess. But for the moment, let's look at her personality, which based on about a minute and 20 seconds of footage, give or take, she appears to be a child, and an especially bratty one at that. In relatable terms, you could say that she comes from a prestigious family, but she's the redheaded stepchild of that family. She feels entitled to an army and a colony, but because she's different, they won't give her any of those things. And that's both basically all we know, more or less, and all we need to know to explain what happens to Pink Diamond. Now, we know that eventually the other diamonds cave or something, and Pink Diamond gets her own colony, the Earth. And we know that since she has a colony, she has a kindergarten. And now that she has a kindergarten, she can now design her own soldiers, which are the rose quartz cut of gem. Now, in the past, I've complained that rose quartz is a little OP, but now that we've seen Pink Diamond, it actually makes a lot of sense. Because she's a child, Pink probably wanted to make her soldier the coolest, strongest soldier ever. So she decked them out with all sorts of powers. If you want an example, I mean, she literally gave them an everything-proof shield. You could also make the legitimate argument that the rose quartz cut of gem are like a baby's first Mary Sue OC. They're tall, they have all sorts of powerful powers, and if rose quartz is any indication, they might command some form of respect. The thing is, though, she probably made them a little too powerful, and as a result, at least one of them was self-aware enough to realize the beauty of life, and as a result started a rebellion. So with that established, let's get to the actual war. It starts off with Rose Quartz splintering off and starting a rebellion against Pink Diamond to save the Earth. Based on Rose's scabbard, it appears as if Pearl joined the rebellion either from the start or very, very early on. Also, based on what Bismuth said about Rose, it appears as if Rose might have known Bismuth before the rebellion, so she probably also joined very early on. And just because she doesn't show up in the answer doesn't mean she wasn't part of the rebellion. Speaking of the answer, next we have Blue Diamond showing up on Earth to squash the rebellion. As the story goes, she fails, and Garnet is born. Now, also in this episode, they talk about a special group of gems that was sent to Earth to investigate the rebellion, and appears as if they were led by Blue Diamond. And I want to bring up the idea that what if at this point, Yellow Diamond didn't know about the rebellion? I mean, if Yellow found out about the rebellion, she would have told Pink, "I told you so," and she probably would have taken away the planet and taken away all of her toys. By telling Blue, who is the cool sister, she probably kept it all under wraps and tried to weed it out before it got serious. Speaking of toys, I want to go back a little bit. I want to guesstimate the bubbling of all the Rose Quartz soldiers happened sometime around here, maybe a little earlier. Now, while they're never given a direct window, based on what Zychron says about them having been bubbled several hundred years prior to the end of the war, I presume it happened around here. I also presume that around this point, probably earlier, the Prime Kindergarten, which was most likely originally used to make Rose Quartz soldiers, switched over to making Amethyst soldiers. Now let's get back on track. Next we have the Beta Kindergarten in Jasper. Between Blue Diamond's arrival and the Beta Kindergarten, the size of the rebellion had probably grown to a point where the Prime Kindergarten couldn't produce soldiers fast enough to fend off the rebellion. I also think that the rebellion was probably slowing down the Prime Kindergarten and making setting up a new one difficult. That's why the Beta isn't in the best location and why it was hastily put together. Of course, the joke is that this piss-poor location ends up spitting out Jasper, the perfect quartz soldier. As we see in Same Old World, Jasper's soldiers were already in use by the time Lapis got poofed. We also know that Lapis was poofed by Bismuth, so that has to put her capture before Bismuth's bubbling. While this is a rough estimate, it probably appears around here, maybe a little earlier, a little later. I do want to point out though that in this flashback, Lapis is being interrogated by Yellow Gems, and that if we follow the narrative, that would lead me to believe by this point Yellow Diamond had found out about the rebellion. Well, this could just be a color theming thing, no detail is not done on this show on purpose. From here, we start winding down. Before in the war, it was probably a series of stalemates or a homeworld was winning. But we know after the Battle of the Ziggurats, the tide of the war changes, and from here on out, the rebels start winning. We also know that sometime before/during the battle, Bismuth showed Rose the breaking point, and for a variety of reasons, Rose betrayed her and bubbled her. Now, it's because when Bismuth was bubbled that we know the placement of the next event. Look at this scene.
How could you value the gems of our enemies more than our own? I would have taken the war to Homeworld and shattered the diamonds. I would have liberated everyone.
Based on that, I presume that Bismuth doesn't know that presumably Rose shattered Pink Diamond. It's also in this scene that Bismuth implies that Rose is too soft on the enemy, that she would never shatter them. And it's because of that that I believe Pink Diamond was shattered after Bismuth, which sealed the rebellion's victory. Now, for how Pink Diamond was shattered, I want to present three different options. Occam's Razor says that Rose Quartz shattered Pink Diamond to take control of the planet and end the war. This is the simplest answer, but this show isn't simple, so the odds of this one are kinda low. The next possibility is that either White Diamond or Yellow Diamond shattered Pink Diamond. How exactly they did this, I'm not entirely sure. This seems to be the one that the show's leaning towards the most, but in its current form it has multiple flaws. The third option is kind of a combination of the first two. Hear me out. What if White Diamond made a deal with Rose Quartz to shatter Pink Diamond and end the war? I know that sounds a little far-fetched, but I'll explain. Imagine you are the leader of your entire species, and one of your mini colonies is at war. This war has been raging for hundreds of years with no sign of ending. In the motherland, resources are starting to dwindle from the war efforts. The leader of this colony is your childish sister who refuses to end the war and let go of her colony. One of your other sisters is also an important figure who will support this childish leader no matter what. You can't turn against them because you risk dividing power, which could be worse than the rebellion itself. If the rebellion grows any larger, more planets can turn, and the rebellion could come to your doorstep, kill you, everything you know, and everything you worked for. Your best bet to stop the rebellion is to meet their demands before they grow any larger. To do this, you have to get rid of the leader who refuses to let the war end. So, you make a deal with the leader of the rebellion to let them kill the childish leader and end the war. In exchange, you'll leave them and the planet alone. They accept your deal, and they kill the childish leader, making a martyr which will decrease the chances of a future rebellion. You then retreat, agreeing to leave them alone if they leave you alone. And just as one last backstab, you do damage like nothing ever seen before, permanently corrupting the planet. I know that's not a pretty solution, but hopefully that made sense, because in my mind, this is one of the only explanations that would explain how Yellow and White could have lured Pink Diamond out of her palanquin, while also having her attacked by Rose Quartz, as everyone remembers it. This also explains why after theoretically corrupting all the gems on Earth, the diamonds wouldn't just come back and remove the corrupted gems and take the planet. Speaking of corruption, after retreating, this was the damage done by the diamonds that marks the end of the war. This damage was done in a light, and more importantly, a song. Now I've done an entire video about corruption, but I want to talk about what the song itself is. Now, I don't know what the actual Song of Corruption is, but I presume it has to do something with the musical notes that represent each one of the diamonds, or at least White's, Yellow's, and Blue's notes. What I'm proposing is that when the diamonds sing together, it acts as a sort of song of creation. However, after Pink Diamond died, she could no longer sing. From there on out, the song itself is now incomplete. Because it is no longer a song of creation, the song itself has been corrupted, and as such, it now corrupts. And that's the entire war, more or less. Before we actually get into the tragedy, let's talk about a few things I've been thinking about that don't really fit into the war-related stuff. The first thing is the zoo, which I had originally assumed to be an act of evil on the part of Pink Diamond, but now that we know she's more or less a child, I chalk the zoo up to ignorance over malice. She's just a child who probably likes zoos and doesn't realize how messed up it is. Another thing I thought of is the plans for the Earth colony. Now, I could be underestimating Pink Diamond, probably not, but those don't seem like something she'd create. I bet as part of the deal for her to get a colony, she had to follow Yellow Diamond's blueprints when making it. Now, I know that's more world building than anything else, I just wanted to put it in here somewheres. The last thing I want to address, if only because I said I would earlier, is Pink Diamond's physical characteristics. As many people have pointed out, like Amethyst, Pink Diamond is a deep-cut gem, and because of that, she seems to be a little bit smaller and more childish than the other gems of the same type, just like Amethyst is. Other than that, it's clear the Diamonds covered up the fact that Pink Diamond is different, because difference is a disgrace to Homeworld. Now, originally, as I've said on multiple occasions, this video was originally called The Wrath of Pink Diamond, but it has since been changed to The Tragedy of Pink Diamond. The reason is that after the zoo arc, I had figured Pink Diamond was some sort of evil villain who did all sorts of evil things. I think this art from Callan Ring best describes how I pictured Pink Diamond. Since then, however, we've learned that Pink Diamond is just a child who can be a little bratty. And it's the fact that she's a child leader that led to her own demise. To start, she didn't get along with Yellow and maybe White. And as such, they didn't trust her to be responsible and to have a colony and an army. She created a super soldier that was way too powerful, thus she was unable to control it. When a rebellion started, she had no experience, and as such, she was unable to deal with it. It grew beyond her control, and being a spoiled child, she refused to let someone take away any one of her toys. Every action she took brought her own downfall one step closer, and that's what makes it a tragedy. Pink Diamond caused her own demise. Before we end off, I want to pose a question of discussion for the comments below. I mean, I expect people to appraise this video in the comments below either way, but we can still talk about something else, right? I want to know, do you think Pink Diamond is alive or was she shattered? I think from a storytelling perspective, it makes more sense if Pink Diamond had been shattered, but there is a biased part of me that wants Pink Diamond to come back just so that Blue Diamond and Jasper can get a sort of happy ending. But tell me your thoughts in the comments below. Also, for simplicity's sake, even though I didn't really talk about it, let's just assume Rose Quartz and Pink Diamond are separate beings. I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Until next time, peace.